It is time for change in America. I'm not talking here about all the plans and preparations for the upcoming inaugural festivities. And I expect at that point the word change will be used so many different times and in so many different ways that it's going to make our heads spin around like that girl from the Exorcist movie. It's going to be used, the word change, as a noun, of course, as both the subject and object of sentences. Change is important. We all like change. It's going to be used as a verb to change the world. With a little stretching, it's probably going to get used as an adverb. That speech was changingly powerful. It could be used as an adjective. I think all this is just changerific. I have a suspicion, and this may just be me, but it is also at some point going to possibly be used as a proper name, particularly if Chief Justice Roberts goes through his secret plan to start the presidential oath of office by saying, "Repeat after me, I, Barack Changey Pants, do solemnly swear." It can be used so many different ways, but it's not the kind of change that I'm talking about that affects each of us today. Rather, it is that annual ritual of renewal that all of us go through whenever the clock clicks through to 12:01. We're through. We're past. The new year has come on January 1st. And many of us may have spent that last week of the previous year trying to figure out what exactly it is that needs to be changed in our lives. We're looking down at our ever-expanding midsection and wishing that perhaps it would change in the other way and get a little smaller. We are contemplating our grades from the last semester and thinking that perhaps our C is for change shirt isn't the best thing to wear around our parents right at this moment. We are wondering, just thinking, that maybe the fact that the word change makes us think of slot machines might be a sign of something. We are staring down at the bottom of our champagne glass and thinking, maybe I really should have stopped after that second bottle. And so, as another year clicks over on our personal odometer, we convince ourselves that we are going to do things differently the next time. That by the time the next number comes clicking around, things will have changed. Will be different. And about this time every year, we convince ourselves, well, we're pretty sure we can do that. Of course we can. It is a new year. It's a new day. We're going to seize this. We're going to take this opportunity. We're going to make things better. We're sure of it. Well, we're sort of sure. A little bit sure. Except when we think back to the year before, when we said exactly the same thing to ourselves. And we think back to the year before that, when we promised ourselves, yes, this is the year, it's going to be different. And we remember how we tried. We remember how we hit the gym for a while. We remember how we buckled down and we hit the books and started studying for a little while. We remember how we stopped buying quite so much beer for a month. We remember how we checked ourselves whenever we wanted to. Well, and each of us do. And that lasted for us for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, maybe a year. Then everything drifted back to the way it had been. But slowly first. Then it was all the same. And all of those promises you made to yourself about things you were definitely going to do, or about things you really weren't going to do anymore. All of those promises fade away. They melt from your hands like tissue in a rainstorm. And we feel weak. And we wonder why we bother to make a promise to ourselves at all. Because finding the strength to make things lastingly new seems so beyond us. And to be honest, given the way that most of us go about it, much of the time it is. Much of the time, the best we seem to be able to do for ourselves is to make things worse in a different way. Here at the dawn of a new year, we hear the gospel talk about that. We hear today from the opening prologue of the Gospel of John. This simple but profoundly poetic passage begins the story of Jesus for us in a way that differs radically from the way each of the other Gospels tell it. The Gospel of Mark, for instance, starts out telling us the story of John the Baptist and the baptism of Jesus and the beginning of his work in Galilee. For Mark, this is the important thing. This is the place where Jesus really gets to work, and so that's where the new thing is happening. It's important. There's a good reason to start. Matthew and Luke tell it a little differently. They look out at the relationships that Jesus had with other people, at the foundation of relationships with God that preceded Jesus as his family tried to figure out what was happening to them. So they go back earlier to the time right before Jesus was born. And it's from those Gospels that we hear of the newness that comes with birth. We hear of shepherds and wise men and angels that shall sing on high. And for some reason that seems familiar this time of year, like I heard it recently.